I'd like to call to order the March 9th, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. First is call to order. Courtney?
Josh Rhodes.
Here.
Misty Solvich.
Here.
Joe Butler. Al Ferris.
Here.
Aaron Freeberg.
Here.
Becky Needles. Bob Ormsby.
Here.
Jeremy Preble. Sarah Ritchie.
Here.
So how many is that? Get together for a second.
We have 6.
Next is the approval of the agenda. Are there any questions? If not, we'll call for a motion.
So moved. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, approval of minutes from the last meeting on February 9th, 2021. Does anyone have any questions about that? If not, we'll call for a motion.
Josh,
I'll make a motion.
to approve, or Sarah can. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any public comments not relating to the agenda items? Okay. No old business. So new business, item A, consider a recommendation on request of a final plat for Ashton Park Plat 7. Charlie?
Yeah, as the commission will recall, last May, we reviewed this subdivision plat, the preliminary subdivision plat. The developer and their contractors have worked through the summer last year, fall last year as well, to get various improvements put in. Mostly the utilities have been put in for this subdivision. Paving has yet to be done. 19 lot residential subdivision that is just to the east of Ashton Park 6. So just so everybody has a frame of reference, Euclid and 15th, that residential area there. And then this will include an extension of Euclid Avenue to the east. And then we'll also include a new road that would be North 19th Street. We reviewed the final plat. The final plat is in conformance with the preliminary plat. That again was recommended for approval by the commission last year. We would recommend that this be approved with the condition being that the council review the recommendation of approval after all improvements have been inspected and approved by staff and all maintenance bonds have been secured. That the council review the recommendation of approval after easement documentation for the public utility easements, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, overland flowage easements have been submitted, and that the city council review the recommendation of approval after all attachments as required by state code have been submitted for our review. So if there's any particular questions on this one, I would be happy to take them now.
Are there any questions?
I do. About 19th Street is gonna, does that fit the plan of, because it cuts off any access to the north, obviously, the way this is set up.
Mhm.
So 19th Street is not envisioned to go north any further? than
No,
this?
so as part of this, the engineer for the developer did submit kind of an overall site plan that looked at the area to the north and how that may fit into the overall plan. There's a lot of elevation changes once you get north of here that really make it hard to get a road in there well. So the plan from there then I think would be, and then one street over, that 20th Street does go all the way up. So, and I can pull it up here. If you give me 1 second, I can show you kind of that overall concept plan. But yeah, they did submit it. It was just that there's, you know, not every road's going to be going north all the time, and then how that kind of works in after that. So
Then we're kind of getting in a position where that land to the north is going to have to be serviced by roads off of 20th. Roads going east off of 20th.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to. Yeah, I've got it right here. So it would show that 20th, both 20th and I believe that would then be 21st would go north of there. Then, so 18th would also go through all the way to the north. And then there would be kind of some cross connections between 18th and 20th, where you could get some residential lots kind of oriented north. So the fronts and the fronts of the buildings were oriented north and south going through there.
I'm curious, there's a house up there somewhere. Does that line up with 18th Street?
You're talking, is that Polly Glasscock's
Yeah.
house? That actually lines up more with, trying to get my bearings in there, that'd be 17th Street.
I think it's 18th Street. Could be wrong, I got it over here. 17th Street.
The only reason I raise this, I'm just curious, or kind of don't want us to get in a position where we've got some land up there to the north that the only way to get to it is some weirdo street arrangements because we don't have a north-south.
Yeah, so,
It'll really run a lot of stuff off 18th Street.
yeah. So we've looked at that, you know, so Prairie Glen, they've submitted a preliminary plat for Prairie Glen 3 now. So this is north of 2, right along 15th Street there. At that time, they had shown kind of a half moon street, so it wasn't going to go out to the east, which we asked them then to put that on there. They've also looked at a concept plan for Prairie Glen 4, which they were going to put a cul-de-sac in, which we said, no, probably not. So we've looked at all of that stuff. You know, this one, again, when you look at just kind of how that land lays there, there's a drainage swale that comes down through this area that just to the east, and just kind of how the road 20th Street would kind of meander that drainage swell up there. When you then have 19th Street going north as well, it really doesn't make sense. So, and if I had screen share here, and Mylise, I know you're listening, if you can give me screen share here in a second, I can throw it up here on the TV. And
So the plan would be to run 20th north along the west side of that ditch, Charlie.
yeah,
If that's the plan to run 20th, then that makes more sense.
Yeah, something's got to go to Iowa,
so if you look here, let me,
right?
and this doesn't necessarily, this is really kind of a, so here's 19th right here where they're kind of showing that it doesn't go up because you have 18th here that kind of goes up and then meanders over here, and 20th that kind of goes up and meanders here. So if you have 18th Street going up, kind of once you get up into this area here, it kind of starts pinching itself in there. So again, yeah, they looked at it just with the topography of the land and everything like that. This is really the one that made the most sense.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion?
And I know the developer's on here as well too. Jay, I don't know if you have anything to add or not, but feel free.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. I really don't have anything to add. You've seen a concept that we're looking at for that north property. We're in conversations with the Williams family about possibly purchasing that, but I do agree that we're going to have two accesses to that north property within future plats within this parcel. And what you just showed, I hadn't seen, but that it makes total sense to kind of work around that deep ravine to provide as much access to that north property as possible.
All right, so would we entertain a motion on this one?
Yeah, this is Josh. I'd make a motion to approve using the alternative 2, the final plat with the following conditions. That the following conditions 1, 2, and 3 is noted in our packet. Okay. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
I'll second. Bob Ormsby.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Roll call, sorry. Roll call, Courtney?
Al Ferris,
Yes.
Karen Freeberg,
Yes.
Misty Soldish.
Yes.
Bob Ormsby,
Yes.
Sarah Ritchie,
Yes.
and Josh Ray.
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry. Item 3, consider recommendation on request for approval of a plat of survey. I'm sorry,
This
item
one,
B. Consider recommendation on request for alternative method of approval for a site plan for DeArmond Ford located at 2406 North Jefferson Way.
Yeah, as you mentioned, DeArmond Ford is looking at a remodel and slight expansion of their existing facility, which used to be Schottenkirk Ford, just recently renamed to DeArmond Ford here in the last few months. They're at 2406 North Jefferson Way. 1 second here, sorry, it's not. They're looking at a project that would demolish the existing showroom, constructing a new showroom that will have an expanded footprint in the existing drive canopy and also on the north side of the building. The showroom will actually be taller than the height of the current building, which will be providing for a larger, what I say, aesthetic footprint on the north side of the city. So looking at section 166.11, as everybody's aware, the highway design standards are pretty specific in the materials that they allow. The general intent of those regulations is to create beautification on our highway corridors, and as the code states, to do away with the structures which have a general appearance of farm machine sheds. And then it also does say that unpainted metal siding is prohibited as part of those design standards. According to the applicant, the Ford Motor Company does have a set of design standards for all their dealerships that they do require with a certain material, which does include various silver and gray metal panels and congregated metal siding. Most of the front-facing facade on the addition will be made up of glass. However, the materials that will be used don't to a T meet the requirements of the design standards. However, from staff standpoint, the appearance of this building definitely meets the intent of the design standards, definitely meets the intent of the code. And as we have mentioned, this is going to be located on, most likely will be at some point here in the future, the first arterial intersection of the city, which is Willow Crest and Highway 65, 69. Once Willow Crest does get upgraded in there. But again, it's a key piece of property on our north gateway to the community. And as you can see kind of through the materials that they put in the schematics that are included in there, the appearance definitely meets the intent of the design standards. So any particular questions on that one, I'd be happy to answer them. I know the applicant, Lindley Kent, is also on Zoom here too. So she's available for any questions should they arise.
excuse me, Misty, real quick, and I mentioned this before, but I'm going to recuse myself from this item.
Very good. So does anyone have any questions or comments?
I believe the composite metal panel is a very nice finished panel in terms of metal. And I think it's appropriate here. When I look back at a few years ago, we had added a material because of a project that happened up on the north end, which was the Mercy Clinic. And at that time, we added a material called like a panelized fiber cement board panel. And that was added into the description of approved materials. I think the intent with any kind of panelized system, if it's a nice quality, I think it should be looked at as a type of approval. The thing that we tried to stay away from years ago, and still probably today, is trying to stay away from seeing kind of corrugated metal sheds or corrugated metal buildings. I understand the corrugated metal is being used on the side, so it's not part of the requirement since it's not facing the road. So it's used in an architectural way, I believe, and I'm okay with that. I think it brings up an opportunity, though, to relook at our standards and decide if an architectural metal panelized system is something we want to add as an approved material. I certainly think we should, because it's used a lot in contemporary architecture. You see it all the time on these car dealerships, and I would make a recommendation that we entertain adding that. That's probably a separate whole vote and decision, but throwing my 2 cents out there.
Any other comments or questions? And the applicant, Lindley Kent, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I think Charlie hit on all the main points. It's more here if there were any questions I actually needed to address.
Well, if there aren't any questions, would we entertain a motion on this one?
I would
I'll make a
recommend
motion
it.
to approve.
Go ahead. Whomever-
You can't have all of them, buddy.
Go ahead.
So we had, let's see, I'm going down my list here. I think you were giving alternate one, weren't you?
Yes.
So I would make a motion to approve the alternate method of approval based on alternate one, which I believe approves the alternate method of approval as requested.
We have a second?
Sarah, I'll second.
And Courtney, you will call on this?
Bob Ormsby,
Yes.
Aaron Freeberg,
Yes.
Al Ferris,
Yep.
Sarah Ritchie,
Yes.
Misty Soldish.
Yes. Okay, item C.
Can I ask a question
sure.
before we leave that? Bob had a suggestion there that we add do you need some kind of action to have that brought back at
I
a
can-
future meeting? Or?
Sure, and I can address it real quick because part of the code updates that we're doing, we did have site planning codes that were being reviewed. We're planning on having this forward to the commission probably at this point, I would say May or June for formal review. And Bob, I know you're on that zoning advisory committee that was part of this as well too. Chris Shire should be reaching out to that committee here in the next day or so to put another meeting together here in about 2 or 3 weeks, I believe. So yeah, it's being addressed in there. The particular material, I'd have to go back and kind of look at that again, but I mean, you're more than welcome to make a motion. Don't let me stop you, but I can promise you that we are going to be looking at that here in a few months.
On the radar.
Just want to make sure it didn't.
Yep,
just-
I was going to address it once we got to staff comments, but yeah.
Thanks, Al. So item C, Consider recommendation on request for approval of a plat of survey for Terra Tundra Inc. located within 2 miles of the city of Indianola. Charlie?
Yep, another one of these plat of surveys. This one actually was reviewed by the commission back in January. However, the applicant property owner did need to make a slight change to some of the lot layouts at the request of the county, mainly to be able to provide access to the back portion of that property. So the amended plat of survey was included in the packet. Same recommendation from us. We do recommend approval on that with the changes that were made from the January meeting.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, do we have a motion on this one?
This is Josh. I'll make a motion to approve the plat of survey as requested. As submitted, excuse me.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Courtney, roll call on this one?
Al Ferris,
Yes.
Aaron Freeberg, Yes. Bob Ormsby,
Yes.
Sarah Ritchie,
yes,
Josh Rabe,
Yes.
and Misty Soldier.
Yes. All right, item D, consider recommendation on request for approval of a plat of survey for Joseph Grubel located within 2 miles of the city of Indianola. Charlie?
Pretty much the same one on this one. This one was one that the commission originally reviewed in November. It showed a 5-acre parcel. The potential buyer of this one did request more land. Now looking at a 10-acre parcel. So there is an amended plat of survey that is included in your packet. And if there are any questions on those, I'd be happy to answer them, but we do recommend approval.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we can entertain a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommended alternative 1, approving it as submitted.
Do we have a second?
this is Sarah, I'll second.
Courtney, roll call on this one?
Josh Rabe,
Yes.
Misty Soldier,
Yes.
Al Ferris,
Yes.
Aaron Freeberg,
Yes,
Bob Ormsby,
Yes.
Sarah Ritchie.
Yes,
All right. Number 8, comments.
From our standpoint, we got the building permit report that was included in there. We had a pretty slow month permit wise, but when more than half the month is spent under the degree of 0 outside, that doesn't surprise anybody. We've already seen quite the uptick, I think, so far this month in activity. So I'm hoping to catch back up with our normal pace here, and especially once the weather turns. Current project updates, I think really the only thing that's been added to that since your last meeting was the DeArmond Ford project, which obviously you reviewed here this evening. So moving forward with that one, we do have quite a bit of inquiry on residential subdivisions again moving forward. So if everything continues on the same pace, we should look at a similar year to what we had last year, I think, on that. Lastly, code updates. I kind of mentioned that briefly there when Al asked the last question. I did have about a 3-hour Zoom call today with our consultant on that, just going over the proposed changes, making some minor tweaks here and there. The plan going forward at this point is to meet with the advisory committee, which I know there is some representation from the planning and zoning. I know I think Bob and Josh were both on that. Here probably within the next couple weeks. We have a stakeholder group as well from the community that will be consulted with as well. And then I think we do have a public meeting as well that is part of this kind of in our scope. We talked a little bit today about the public meeting and just how that's going to take place and the continuing COVID environment. So we'll see how that goes, but I am anticipating that those changes will be to the commission no later than June at this point. But depending on how we keep with our upcoming schedule, we could see him as soon as May, so. Something to look forward to, and as we kind of did with the comp plan too, if that takes a couple meetings to go through that stuff, that's more than okay, and then we will work to get all of that material to you much sooner than we normally do with our packets, so you have some time to review it, but that's all I have as far as an update this evening.
Something to look forward to, like you said.
Yes, yes. Just one more thing.
If there's not any other comments, we'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Bob Ormsby.
Hey, second.
All in favor?
Bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening.
Have a good evening,
Thanks.
everyone. Bye.